Press the bell icon on our YouTube app and never miss another video from SpotboyE.
I know him as a documentary filmmaker. Today he's a brand. Over to you, Kabir. Welcome to SpotboyE.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Yeah, we go back a long, long way.
Yeah,
I've known Vicky since we used to do documentaries in Afghanistan.
Tell me, Kabir, tell me how are you feeling 2 days before the release of one of your biggest films with Salman Khan?
I'm feeling excited. I think I'm very happy with the film. I think once you are happy with the film that you've made, then the confidence comes in, because sometimes what happens, a film is such a collaborative effort and there's so many elements that go into it that sometimes it doesn't always fall into place. And then I guess it becomes a certain reason to be a little nervous, because then you're not sure, because it's not the product that you set out to make. But in the case of Tubelight, which was also the case of Bajrangi Bhaijaan, it's exactly the film we set out to make. So the confidence comes from there. And then after that, you know, fingers crossed, hope a large audience also identifies with our vision and gives it the same kind of love that it has given a lot of my films.
But coming back to the fact that I started with, you're a brand today, is the pressure very high? The numbers are going to be compared with, you know, Bajrangi Bhaijaan, with Sultan. So,
see, honestly, the thing is that I know it's politically the right thing to say in an interview, but I honestly, and you know me, I honestly do not take numbers very seriously. I honestly don't take the success of my films very seriously, because I'll tell you why. The moment I start taking the success too seriously and start coming under the pressure of numbers, I'll make wrong decisions. So after the huge success of Ek Tha Tiger, the safest thing for me would be to make another action film with Salman. I didn't do that. I took him into a completely different zone, which a lot of people said, don't do that, it's a dangerous territory. But we did it. It worked out very well for us. It went on to become Salman's biggest film till date. Bajrangi is his biggest film by miles. And I think that's the reason why I try and not take the pressure. So even in Tubelight, I reacted to the story. I didn't at all react to, is this similar to a film I've done, not similar to a film I've done. So I'm not taking any deliberate decisions to be different or similar to my old films. I'm reacting to a story. If I feel that that story is correct, I go for it. In Tubelight, when I saw the little boy, I said there's something in this film that can be set very correctly in our context, in our historical context, which was not true for a lot of Hollywood blockbuster films that were offered to me as remakes. I saw them, initially got very excited, then I realized I can't set them in India. But this small film, which nobody had even seen, in fact, people know about Little Boy now because of Tubelight. People didn't know about the film earlier. It just happened, and I narrated it to Salman after I wrote the script, and he immediately said yes.
But you again taking him into a dangerous zone, you know, again so radically different from the Bajrangi Bhaijaan.
Correct.
And for him to hold on to this role from the first frame till the last frame, I believe it's his toughest role till date.
Absolutely. It is by far his toughest, most challenging role till date. But I can, that's the excitement that he felt as an actor, that's the excitement that I felt as a director. Let's go into uncharted territories. You know, the point is, I've often said this, and this is a criticism that I have of the film industry down the ages, going back last 30-40 years. I feel that people in this industry, the more successful they get, the safer they play. But it is when you're successful when you can make changes, because it's when you're successful, nobody asks you any question. Today, after Bajrangi Bhaijaan's success, when Salman and I decide हमें एक film करनी है, हमसे कोई सवाल नहीं पूछने वाला है कि क्यों ये कर रहे हो. They will just go blindly with what we want to do. So that is the time when we need to push boundaries and make something different. We might fail, we might not reach the levels of success of some of our previous collaborations. It doesn't matter. At least we made a film that we really enjoyed making. We made a film that we really believed in. We made a film as a director I found challenging and satisfying, and we made a film that, more importantly, Salman found challenging as an actor.
So you have been time and again saying that, you know, he's 5 times better than his last performance.
Yes.
Now I want you to elaborate on that how has he grown as an actor in this?
You know, I won't say he has grown an actor. I think the actor within him was always there. What I've observed about him from Tiger to Tubelight now is that he, at one point, especially in Tiger, I felt he was a little blasé. He was a little, I've done this. I don't need to prove it again. I don't need to do that. I don't need to push myself. I've done it. In Bajrangi, I felt him reacting to the story very strongly, to the character very strongly, and pushing himself and going the extra mile. In Tubelight is when I saw him completely unleash all the craft that he had as an actor to bring this character to life. And I was taken aback by the effort he put in. For the first time I saw him actually a little nervous, actually a little searching for answers, discussing, wanting more information, looking for references, you know, doing everything that an actor does to bring forward to a character. And I remember this on the first day of shoot, I decided to actually throw him into the deep end. I shot the first day with him the climax scene.
Oh.
I said, कूद जाते हैं, देखेंगे क्या होगा, अगर डूबेंगे तो we'll change something and come back. And the day we were shooting, and this is in Ladakh, and when we were all set, suddenly Salman disappeared. And I was saying, where is Salman? Light is going, where is Salman? Somebody said he's gone to the vanity van, somebody said he's gone to the loo, he was nowhere to be found. Suddenly then Salman comes after 40 minutes, and he was in a bit of a zone, and I just told him, okay, roughly this is what you're doing. He said, he went there, and he performed that scene in one single take. And I suddenly realized where he was for the past 40 minutes. He was preparing for that, because a lot of things he did there were things I had not told him to do. He had thought on his own that this will be good for the character to do at this stage in the film, and he did it, and he was spot on. That really gave me a lot of confidence, and that made my life very easy as a director. Honestly, in Tubelight, I mean, I will not even take credit for the performance that he's given, because he's really brought it out on his own. I was only monitoring and making sure that he's consistent. Otherwise, everything is brought to the character is entirely his own.
How did you confine him? Because a commercial actor like him, it's very easy for him to go over the top in such a role, you know, where he has to underplay himself at times.
True.
Yeah.
I think he's now, he has that confidence in me. So he knows that if I tell him, Salman, this is going over, he feels that I think he's correct. Kabir is correct, and let me put it down. Earlier in Tiger, he used to say, nahi yaar, you're going wrong. I'm telling you, this should be pitched higher. This will become too subtle. But I think now he has that confidence. So whenever I stop a scene and I say, Salman, no, I think we are going the other way, he corrects it immediately and brings it back. So I think that's the working relationship that we've developed.
But it's a very interesting one you have with him, because earlier it was a little rocky. And
yes.
So
yes.
how is it now? Did you have any instances here that you differed with him?
Always. See, that is something that we always do, and that is something that I always enjoy. I have often said what people say, Arey, you know, did you have a lot of discussions, and did you have a lot of arguments? Without arguments and discussions, a good film cannot be made. Like if tomorrow Salman starts coming to a set not bringing any point of view, I'll think that this guy's not interested in this film. He's just sleepwalking through it. The point that he comes every day and has a point of view, and a strong point of view about a scene, means that he's engaged, he's thinking about it for the film, right? And then it becomes a question of, now we've reached a stage where it's a question of, yeah, either you convince me or I'll convince you. And it's always one of the things. There are lots of times when he comes with a point of view, initially I feel that, you know, it's not correct. And when I think about it, I realize, no, probably he's correct.
Any particular scene in Tubelight?
A lot of times what happens is that, you know, we come from two very different sensibilities. In fact, the reason why I think we're working together very well is that we have now realized how to blend the sensibilities. Instead of, you know, clashing sensibilities, we are blending two sensibilities, so we are actually covering a wider audience, right?
Yeah.
What worked for us in Bajrangi Bhaijaan was we covered a huge audience, a slightly audience that looks at more discerning cinema, which is a little more real and logical, an audience that looks for more larger than life storytelling and more masala, and we gave them both, right? Which is, I think, true in Tubelight also. So a lot of times he tells me, Kabir, you're underdoing this. This can easily be pitched up higher. Maybe there's a humorous scene. We can easily push it. We won't go slapstick. I think we'll push it a notch higher. And I realized, yeah, okay, maybe the audience will really enjoy this. Let's go for it.
So any particular scene in that Tubelight which
There are, I mean, unfortunately, I can't give you the details because there'll be a spoiler for the film, but there are several scenes in the film where I think there's a certain sort of humor, a level of humor that's been played out, which has probably a little more joy now than what if I had executed.
You brought in Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes.
How did that happen, and how was the experience? You've been wanting to make a film with him also in the lead since a long time, I know.
Actually, it's very strange. Shah Rukh is the only person in this entire industry that I knew when I landed in Bombay. I knew nobody else, because he and I go back to college. You know, he was my senior in film school in Jamia. Gauri and I have done a stage performance of West Side Story together. She was my dancing partner. So we've known each other for very long. I studied from Shah Rukh's notes in my final year masters in filmmaking. But when I was writing, I find cameos in films a little gimmicky. I used to often watch films with a superstar cameo, and I used to say, did this really make a difference to the film? अगर ये नहीं होता तो कोई फ़र्क होता है इसमें, कि इस फिल्म के सक्सेस पे कोई फ़र्क होता? And often the answer used to be no. But somehow when I was writing this character, I was convinced that this needs a superstar. And when you see the film, you realize why. Because there's a certain positioning of that character vis-a-vis Salman, right? And Salman is already a megastar. How many people can hold that position vis-a-vis a Salman? So I went to Salman and said, you know, Shah Rukh will be ideal for this. Salman said, yeah, it's perfect. He made the call. And I mean, I think Shah Rukh didn't even take 2 minutes to say yes, because he loved the character, he loved the positioning of the character, and he said, I'll definitely do it. And I think there's warmth and affection between him and Salman. He knows me from a long time back, so he immediately agreed.
How was it on the set? Was it just one day or how many days?
It was one day. So it was one day, it was a long day, but it was one day, and it was magical, because I think that for the entire crew that day, there was electricity in the air. You know, at the end of the day, we are all the audience, right? Whether we're working on a film, but we are also an audience. And just watching Salman and Shah Rukh together in one frame after 20 years, and the kind of chemistry that they have in that scene, it's a treat for the audience. That I can tell you. You might love the film, you might not like the film, but that scene, everybody is going to enjoy.
You haven't brought out the heroine much in the limelight.
Yes.
What's the strategy?
I'll tell you.
Zuzu is not anywhere around.
I honestly feel, and as a filmmaker, I've often said this, that we tend to overexpose our films before release. I feel there's a certain level of mystery and enigma that you must retain about a film, so that you discover a film. A lot of times we expose everything and show everything about the film. So when you're going into the film, you know everything about the film. And one of the reasons why keeping Juju away is this, which is the reason why, if you remember, in Bajrangi Bhaijaan, I had kept Harshali away from all cameras till the date of release. Post-release, more than welcome, you know, you can do whatever you want. But till release, let's retain the enigma of that character. Similarly, Juju is a very, very important character in Tubelight, an integral part of Tubelight. Let's keep her. Martin we've recently introduced. Even Martin I've tried to keep away from too much publicity. So I think there's a joy in discovering characters in the film, and I think Juju is one such character that I think the audience will fall in love with once they watch the film.
The length of the film has been talked about. It's been edited to as being the shortest film of Salman.
No, that's not true actually. These are all wrong facts. And what they're calling editing is not editing. It's a constant process of trimming. So when we make a first cut, the first cut is usually 3 hours. Then you make a second cut, which comes down to maybe 2.5 hours. Then it comes to third cut, fourth cut. So what they're talking about trimming is it's not like we've taken out scenes. Every scene is there. It's just trimming and making it tighter. And at 2 hours 15 minutes of runtime, it's not the shortest. Ek Tha Tiger was 2 hours 13 minutes. So I think just something in the press, you know, once it becomes a headline, then everybody keeps following it without checking what it is. It's very simple. Just go on to any site and check what the length of Tiger is, and you realize it's a shorter film then.
How was the experience with censor board? You've always been very vociferous, you know.
I have, but I must say in this experience, and you know, I have to be fair to them, it was a beautiful experience this time. There was no issue. I think they looked at the film in a very, very mature way. They gave us a straight view with no cuts. They understood the reasons why some of the scenes are there. See, there will always be politics in my film. My films can never be
that's a
politics.
very I mean, point which stands out, you know. Yeah.
Correct. So that's me. There will always be some comment on our society today, our politics today, and it is there. So even though the film is set in 1962, what we're talking about is very contemporary, and it has a comment on what's happening in the country today. But I think the censor board saw it in context and did not ask for any cuts this time.
But you have not met with any resistance from the censor board, yet you have been very vociferous. Are you pushing boundaries in your next web series, where there will be no censor board?
The thing is that I firmly feel that we should not only talk about issues if it directly affects us. We should talk about issues if it affects us as a whole, as an industry, as a society. I think if we all become, you know, only, okay, let's talk about it only when it hits me, then we're going down. You know, that famous quote which says that, you know, first they came for the trade unionists and I didn't speak because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the communists, I didn't speak because I was not a communist. Then they came for the intellectuals, I didn't speak because I was not an intellectual. Then they came for me and there was nobody left to speak for me. That's exactly what's going to happen in our society. You have to speak up when you see something wrong. So if I see that the censor board is overstepping and doing something wrong with a film which is not related to me, I feel as a member of this industry that I should speak up. As a member of this society, as a member of this citizen of this country, that I should speak.
So your son is on a holiday. You'll be going to IFA for a vacation, as far as I know.
Yes.
After IFA, what's the next plan?
Immediately after Tubelight, I start work on a web series for Amazon, which is a mini series I've been planning for a long time. It's a subject that has lived with me. Actually, you would know about it. I've lived with this subject for so long, based on my documentary called The Forgotten Army. It's about the Azad Hind Fauj. It's not about Netaji. It's about the soldiers who formed the army. Really looking forward to that. And then post that is a film that I start end of next year. That I will announce by and by.
Thank you, Kabir. Thank you so much for being on SpotboyE. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.